bodyguards on the other side. Mr. Cha, still on the phone, quickly realizes that Jin has made it into their place. He leans back, letting out a defeated sigh. He's still trying to wrap his head around the fact that he got beaten by a single high school kid. He's now anxious about how to deal with this mess. Inside the room, Hui-jin jumps up from her seat as Mrs. Kim starts yelling at Jin, demanding to know if he's the kid who beat up her children. On the other side, the man at the desk demands to know how Jin managed to get into his office. That is when this stupid woman begins to grit her teeth in frustration, because she is pissed that her husband is not overreacting like her. The husband remains calm and composed and asks again, more insistently, how Jin got past the security. Jin just shrugs and casually replies that he simply passed the guards blocking the entrance. Mr. Kim is even more shocked and confused, not understanding how Jin managed to beat Mr. Cha and all the security guards. What bothers him even more is how Jin even found out that he's living here. That shithead woman starts yelling again, telling Jin to stop giving them attitude. She quickly begins dialing the emergency hotline to report Jin for assaulting her kids and breaking into the office. Meanwhile, Hui-jin feels a sense of pride in her mother's actions. She believes that involving the police is a good move, thinking that even if Jin has impressive fighting skills, the law will take care of him. The arrogant mother tries to intimidate Jin with her threats, claiming she'll call the police or even the district attorney because she thinks Jin has no idea who he's dealing with. Jin, however, remains calm and responds that he has a pretty good idea. He points out that her husband is a second-term assembly member currently running for office. The woman scoffs, asking Jin if he knows so much about their status. Then why did he assault her kids? On the other hand, Hui-jin smugly sneers, feeling satisfied that they've cornered Jin, and faintly tells him that it's game over. The authorities pick up the call, and the lady starts yelling into the phone, demanding that the officers reach Kim's office right away. But before she can say anything more, she falls silent when she hears something unexpected. Apparently, Jin plays the full footage of the karaoke room where Hui-jin and her lackeys assaulted her sister. The undeniable evidence leaves Hui-jin speechless, her eyes widening in shock as if they might pop out of their sockets. Mr. Kim stays silent, feeling utterly devastated. The screams of Daeon begging for forgiveness echo through the room, as the trashy ladies continued to beat her to a pulp. Seeing the concrete evidence, Mrs. Kim's jaw drops, and she quickly hangs up the hotline, saying she'll call them back later. On the other hand, Hui-jin starts yelling at Jin, demanding to know how he got those files. Jin remains silent for a moment, and then the scene flashes back to the outside of the Kim's residence. Inside one of the rooms, Jin is seen sneaking around the house. He opens a laptop and copies all of the data onto a pen drive. In the present, Mr. Kim grits his teeth in frustration, feeling that his kids are a total disappointment. But Hui-jin quickly tries to reassure her father, explaining that she had a good reason for everything. Mr. Kim, however, angrily tells her to shut up. Jin then reveals that he also has files involving Gisu Kim. He explains to the Kims that their children always save videos of their conquests. He states that he has dozens of clips showing their violent behavior, beating up kids at school, extorting money and valuables from their victims, and even the latest clip of his sister being assaulted by a group of girls at karaoke. Hui-jin is shaking like a leaf with all these truth bombs exploding around her, but her mother quickly jumps in to defend her daughter, claiming that our boy is just trying to threaten them and that he won't get away with it. But Jin reminds her that he didn't start this mess, and what he's doing now is hardly a threat compared to hiring a bunch of gangsters to attack him, and makes it clear that he has recorded all of it too. The father facepalms in utter disappointment and asks our boy if he did all this just because his kids assaulted his sister first. Jin responds that, as a parent, they have the right to take their children's side at all costs, so as a brother, he will do whatever it takes to protect his sister as well. The man understands where he's coming from and points out that they'll cover her treatment and offer a hefty settlement to make amends. But our boy makes it clear that this isn't necessary. The father is puzzled and asks what he means by that. He then inquires if Jin would like his kids to apologize to his sister. Hearing her father, Hui-jin grits her teeth and thinks to herself that she'd rather bite her tongue and bleed to death than apologize. On the other hand, our boy makes it clear that an apology won't undo the time his sister spent in fear and pain. So he insists that if they really want to compensate him, he wants his sister to never have to see Jisoo or Hui-jin Kim again. This demand rattles Hui-jin's nerves, but her father quickly agrees, stating that he'll have his kids transfer schools or perhaps even send them abroad to study. Naturally, the mother and daughter let out a piercing scream in protest, but the father quickly shuts them down and turns his attention back to our boy, asking if this would be enough to satisfy him. Our boy states that he wants them gone from the school starting tomorrow. In response, the father says he'll inform the school, and once that's settled, Hui-jin begins to cry, and her tears flow out involuntarily. Just as our boy starts to leave, the father quickly stops him and reminds him that, since he agreed to the demands, He'd like our boy to delete all of the videos he found. Our boy shoots the old man a death glare, and the father can tell from the intensity of his eyes that this kind of deadly glare doesn't belong to a high schooler. Jin makes it clear that he's not a fool, and then begins to walk away, slamming the office door behind him with a resounding thud. Once outside, he finally heads home. His grandpa rushes to open the door and asks if he's okay, while Daeon is seen crying in the background. Jin is startled to see them so worried about him, but he smiles and reassures them that no one hurt him. As he begins to enter the house, the old man points out that the people they encountered seemed dangerous. Jin replies that they just stopped by to talk, nothing more. The sister then mentions that something about those people didn't feel right, and that she and Grandpa were very worried. Jin quickly tells her not to worry about anything other than getting better. Jin then hints to his sister that, from now on, she'll never have to walk down the stairs again because he's taken care of it. Of course, this doesn't make much sense to her at the moment, but she'll likely figure out what he meant soon enough. The next morning, they head to the school. Once inside, they part ways to go to their respective classes. As Daeon enters her classroom, she tries to avoid making eye contact with Huijin. However, her steps falter when she hears students talking about how Huijin won't be coming to school anymore. The entire class buzzes with curiosity about what happened, and one of the girls explains that Huijin and her brother are both going to study abroad. This news hits Daeon like a thunderbolt out of blue, because her biggest obstacle is finally quitting school. The words Jin had said about taking care of the stairs she had fallen down replay in her mind. She quickly realizes that he must have known about Huijin's transfer all along. Daeon rushes out of the classroom in order to talk to him about this. When she finds him and calls out to him, he turns around, but as soon as she tries to speak, she's at a loss for words and remains silent. Jin simply smiles and says, "See you later," leaving Daeon to tear up. She manages to reciprocate with a soft, "See you later," before she breaks down, her emotions overwhelming her.